Okay. Okay.
Oh, we have to do it all together now.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Wow.
See, like if you just get some punch like momentum from the word.
We cannot make that happen.
Okay, anyways.
You're tuning in to What's Up Waterloo. I'm your host Kalil, and this podcast is all about what's happening in tech in the KW area. Thanks for stopping by. Today's episode is brought to you by nklg.ca, nice kids making nice clothes, and Adam code /Zilchers. Listen to some rock and roll vibes at the link down in the description. Today I'm joined by Coffee and Code. Now usually I would give a brief introduction for my guests, but there's no way I can capture all the passion that these guys have for what they do. So you have the stage.
Go ahead. I'm going to let you guys speak first.
Alright, so how about we just introduce ourselves first?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Sure.
Okay, so hi. My name is Christina, and I am currently a 1B Management Engineering student and one of the co-founders of Coffee and Code. I was originally in chemical engineering. Might get a little deeper into that later, but yeah, so excited to be here today.
Cool. So I'm Grace. I'm in my 3A term of Science and Business. Also co-founder / co-pres of Coffee and Code.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. Thank you, Kalil, for having us today. My name is Arar Mansoor, and I am not a student anymore. I graduated in 2015 from UW, studying computational physics, and today I work as a software developer at a startup in Kitchener called Alert Labs.
I didn't even know this. I thought you were a student.
No.
Wait a second. Have you been catfishing me this whole time?
Absolutely. That's why the trench coat is very important.
Okay. So, Coffee and Code, what is it? Tell me more about it for our audience who doesn't know about it yet. Go for it.
So I think it means Coffee and Code is a little different what it means for each of us, but overall, Coffee and Code is an environment, a community where you can kind of come, bring your side projects, your questions about programming. It's open to any students and interested people from across all faculties and all walks of life. And it's where you can kind of get your first few steps up and running and be self-sustainable in your learning towards programming. So yeah, and it's every week. And it's over a cup of coffee and you talk to people, get your questions answered.
Just to touch on that, I had to make sure that having Coffee and Code on, I brought out my own coffee and served some up.
Delicious.
And now they have some coffee.
Cheers.
Very well executed.
You mentioned that each one of you has a different side to the story. So, what's Coffee Code to you?
So, I studied physics when I was going through university, which does not initially touch on programming very much. But as I went through it and I got my first taste of what programming is, it just sort of took me by storm and I rode the waves, and now I work as a software developer. So when Christina and Grace approached me about this collaboration, what I saw this was an opportunity to tell young individuals coming through university the benefits of having programming as a tool in their set of problem-solving skills, so that these are all very intelligent, creative people. They can see programming as a way to extend the horizons of what they can solve and how they can do it. So for me, it is a way to get people into programming and help them give the resources and direction that they need to make it as easy for them as possible.
I think, okay, yeah, go ahead. I can no, but I think compared to the both of you, I'm probably the least technical. So for me, Coffee and Code is more about establishing the first steps and figuring out, okay, I really don't know what I don't know. So what am I going to do? What do I need to do to get my first steps to write my first Hello World, for example, right?
Yeah.
But aside from that too, like I said, being in a non-technically oriented program, it's important to learn the importance, or it's important to know how to be code literate to work in a technical setting. Being from where we were working together at athletics and marketing, it's really important to really understand the technical side of things so that we're able to communicate that better with our audience. So yeah, that's I think what at least I want for our members as well.
I'm going to go off of that and make one additional note is that for people such as Grace who are driven and are interested in adding that additional dimension to their abilities, what I found as I was sort of scrabbling through my way through programming is that a lot of it is dead ends. A lot of it is just not knowing what to do. So having somebody who's experienced, a mentor, is very, very crucial to get down the proper path, and have somebody tell you about the tried and tested methods that give results quickly. It helps deal with anxiety or the feeling of being lost in this world, and I want to minimize that as much as possible for people. So we bring together incredibly competent people to guide the rest of us in this community.
And I think I haven't mentioned like how my personal aspect, but so I started school at Waterloo in 2016, last year. So I was a chemical engineering student, and at my first co-op, I was working as a business analyst at a tech company, at like a startup, and coming to Waterloo was my first exposure to what programming is and all the potential that comes with it, because I went to an art high school and there was a lot of focus around arts then. And I just felt like I was missing out on so much. So I took that opportunity for my first co-op to kind of, go to different meetups in Toronto, because I was in Toronto. And I found myself really frustrated because I would go and people would be talking about like Python and all these different things. I would literally have no idea what they're doing. And I honestly, at first, it was hard for me to figure out like how to download Python on my computer. And it's like, as embarrassing as that sounds, but there wasn't an environment that I could find where I can go and bring up these things without feeling really dumb or like feeling intimidated. So, but then I found a community on Facebook. It was called Coffee and Code, but it was hosted by Free Code Camp, which is like a Code Academy type online learning resource. So shout out to Free Code Camp Toronto. And I went, and the first time I went,
I'll link them down below if anybody's interested.
Tag them down below.
Why would you need them?
That's true, but if you're working in Toronto, you should go check them out.
If you want to continue this in Toronto, then
definitely
check them out.
Yeah, and there are community people, like some of them are working in business, but then they wanted to pivot their career entirely, and they were doing this on their own. They needed a community of people where they can just kind of go and get their questions answered. And I went at first, I had this stigma around people in tech. I thought they were going to be super scary, know-it-alls. So I had to literally go to the bathroom and do a power stance for 20 minutes to work up the courage.
What does that even look like? I'm not going to ask you to do it, but
I
was really scared.
Just do the one hip.
And then like the face. Like,
let's do that like Beyonce, like.
And then, yeah, one of those. No, but I was really scared.
Your power stance is very different from my power stance.
Your power stance look like?
I have to find a chair, put one leg up.
That's a power stance too. Is that like a hiker?
Yeah, the
So
same.
it's anything that gives you power.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, but then I went in and I realized how nice these people were and how beneficial a community that just, encourages learning is. So that's the type of thing that I want to bring to Waterloo. And I think, having found these two people, these beautiful gems was a huge blessing. And so here we are.
So it's nice that you guys got all together. How did you meet? Like, how did that even happen? For a lot of people out there who are thinking about the next steps in their ideas, they're like, I'm alone. I am struggling with this. I'm like, I'm alone. I have all this set up, and I'm like, maybe I should bring somebody on. How do you even meet somebody like this who are going to be like as committed as you, as interested as you are?
I'm going to start then.
Go do it.
Because it's funny. I met Christina the same day I met you, Kalil.
Wait.
Yeah.
Local hack day?
Local hack day.
We met each other then, but I didn't even, like
really
I said a while
much.
ago, I didn't approach you, so I can get into that.
I
You make it sound like something happened. Okay, yeah. Anyway.
I liked Kalil so much. I'm going to go on record. I liked Kalil so much. While they were presenting their words, I sat down beside him and showed him my really cool magnet.
I'm going to go on record too, and I really like this guy so much, I took nice photos of him.
Yes.
No, like not just nice photos. These are like nice photos.
next level.
And wait,
You should like pop it
use
up.
them for
You can
anything?
see it over here.
Yeah.
Learning.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen them. So
I've used them for my work promotions. I use them as profile pictures. Yeah.
this is why I brought these
What
guys
picture
on.
is this?
This is from Local Hack Day. So anyway, the story starts
You gotta show us that.
December
In the
2nd,
beginning.
2017,
Wow.
when Waterloo, in collaboration with MLH, organized this local hack day. It was a 12-hour hackathon. And
My first hackathon.
Christina's first hackathon. And it wasn't my first hackathon, but it was the first time I grabbed a couple of my friends together to go attend it. We had a loose idea of what we wanted to do, but at this point, I attend hackathons as opportunities for mentorship and meeting new people. But anyway, 4 hours into the hackathon, all of my team members bailed on me.
Oh, I remember this.
Yeah.
I remember this, and you were alone.
I was alone.
And then I was like, why is this guy alone? He's so nice.
Yes.
Okay.
So I had the wonderful fortune of sitting beside Christina and her group.
Shout out to Andrew and Suki and Daniel.
Nathaniel, yes.
Instagram right there. Instagram links.
This wonderful group of people, they were trying to create a solution for this incredibly difficult or set of issues, which is about mental health. And I'll let Christina talk about it in a more deeper way. But what ended up happening was they were wonderful people, and they seemed like they needed some guidance about what technology to use and how to arrange their hackathon pitch. And since I had some experience in it, I sat myself down next to them and started talking to them. In the end, I'm so happy to say that they ended up winning Best Overall Hack. And after that, Christina came up to me and asked me...
Aurora won Best Concept.
It was...
For an individual person,
Yeah,
I mean, that's
for
a
one
big
person,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, it was a little sad, me up there by myself. But we had a nice lunch with the winnings, with all of my friends who mooched up on me. That's okay though.
That's how nice he is.
But at the end of the award ceremony, Christina came up to me and asked me, told me about this idea that she had about bringing together an organization and a community to help each other learn how to program and how to become more comfortable, and whether I would be interested in taking a mentorship role in there. And I had a grin ear to ear, because this is the kind of thing that I really hoped for finding exceptionally ambitious and talented people who are putting themselves out there to try and accomplish something for the community. And Grace, I'm assuming you got in touch with Christina afterwards, but I learned about Grace and we started interviewing people together. So that's the story of how Coffee and Co started, at least from my perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy. I mean, you're going to share your story, I'm sure, but it's kind of crazy because when I approached Aurora, I wasn't expecting this close of an involvement. I thought he's a full-time, worker. He has like his adult stuff to deal with. He doesn't have time for us university students, and he ended up being so involved in the process and really helped us ramp up, technically and vision-wise. So I'm really grateful for that. And so one takeaway from that was you just got to expose yourself and be present at these, get-togethers where the people that you're looking for, that type of people would come to. I mean, I didn't really go looking for people to help me with coffee and code, but it turned out so well.
Yeah. I think you said that too. You mentioned that to me once, so you didn't really expect that you would be this involved.
Yeah.
With coffee and code.
It's amazing
Tricked
because
Shades up.
That's right. I am constantly surprised at how well Coffee and Code is doing as a group and as an initiative in this campus. When you graduate and you go out into your adult life, often you find that everything sort of sets into a routine and people do what they're expected to do, and you see less and less of people who are going out there and trying to create value. So when I found myself with these two amazing people and our committee members who we interviewed and gathered afterwards, shout out to
those are our coffee and code committee members.
They are wonderfully.
Links to all their Instagrams down below. Putting so much work on it.
I'm just like amused at how much energy there is now. I'm just like comparing the energy to the past 2 days. I had Andres come on for the first show. I had Amir on for the second show, and now I have like all these guys. It's just ramping up in energy. I didn't even think I could find. So I'm thinking maybe 20 shows from now, how much energy will the people have?
It'll just be like Usain Bolt. Like, it'll just be energy. Usain Bolt.
Hey, you know what? Usain Bolt, shout out to you. If you want to come on, I know you're getting into tech, buddy. I know you're getting into tech and you're trying. This might be a good place for you to talk about that.
Coffee and Code and University of Waterloo will welcome you.
Definitely.
Mr. Bolt.
With open arms.
But to wrap up, it's when you find yourself in the company of these amazingly collaborative and energetic people trying to create value in the community, you can't help but be magnetized towards it.
Mm-hmm.
And I get surprised every week about all the things that we accomplish, which we'll talk about in the future.
So how big is your team? You mentioned interviewing a bunch of people. So how big is like the organizational team now?
Yeah, so there's about 10 of us, I believe, on our committee. And we have that split up with the majority of the team working on the education side. So worrying about, okay, when we have lessons, what is going in those lessons? How are we structuring those lessons? What resources are we providing so that, even if they don't come or they need more help, they can kind of guide their own learning without us saying, okay, like, let's sit down, here's a lesson, like, as a traditional class. So aside from that, we have the rest of the team. There's I think two now, right? Whatever. But like a smaller portion of the team just working on our marketing and like day-to-day operations to make sure we have coffee, and that people know that we're a thing.
People hear about us. Yeah.
And a lot of our energy is also driven towards making connections and partnerships with people external to the campus and the club itself, because we want to bring in people who are from the industry, who enjoy teaching and want to give value to the campus themselves. So a large part of our operations effort goes towards that as well.
So walk me through the exact format. What do people expect when they come in? What should they expect when they go in and out? What are they going to learn? That kind of thing.
Would you like to go? Yeah, sure. So we tested this a bit, but we deliver more of a structured lesson every other week. But we'll notify our members in advance. So last week we did a lesson on databases, right? Using Mongo. Yeah. Yeah. But aside from that, I wasn't sure which one we were doing. I didn't think so. Aside from that, for people that are a bit more advanced, we provide them with just open space to work, to talk to other people about their projects, and then also hold them accountable to what they're doing. So whether it's like working on an assignment and they need some help with it, they can come to us. And we actually did see that on, I think it was our second meetup. Some guy was just walking through, he's like, I don't know how to download Python. Or like, I think it was not Python, no. It was something else. But whatever, in that same context. But yeah, just providing that space to help without being very structured. And then leading on to that, we do our unstructured weeks, as we call them, where we do like a small lesson where we'll say, okay, like here's a resource you can check out online. You can walk through it, ask us questions if you have any, go. So let them do their own thing. They want to come talk, we're more than welcome to talk.
And I feel like the magic really happens during those off weeks because it's where, because personally I think a goal that we have for everybody that comes is for them to be sustainable, self-sufficient, and kind of explore their own interests. And that's when people kind of like ask each other, like, hey, do you know Java? And like ask each other questions and talk to each other. And that's kind of where I see all the magic happens.
That's those off weeks where we don't have a fully formed structured lesson. We tend to see people really building the community within themselves. And something that happens is maybe during midterms time where we don't market maybe that much, we still see people showing up because they have made connections with other people also showing up, and they hold each other accountable and move forward together. Besides that, during both of the styles, we also have people available to talk to you in a one-on-one style, mentorship style, where they can really come forth with their questions about, I want to do this because I've seen this problem. How do I go about doing it? What are the technologies that will help me achieve that the best way possible? Or what tutorial should I follow? And then we have people, Annie, Michael, and other Michael, who act as mentors for these individuals. They can say from their personal experience that, if you try this, I think this will lead you to your goal, the easiest way possible. And that's a really powerful thing, to have that matchmaking process, people coming in with questions and coming out with reasonable answers that are actionable. We see that happening, and that's my favorite part, to see things made easy for people who are curious.
So for our audience out there who's now interested in hopping on, joining and participating, when is it? Where is it?
So it's in IQC. So this term, it's coming to an end, but This term it's in IQC. So Q&C room 1201 is in the IQC area. 6:30 till 9:30 p.m. every Wednesday. Yeah.
And can people just hop in and out?
Yeah, you're more than welcome to just drop.
So you don't have to there's no formal structure like one of the other societies or clubs that are like, oh, sign up in the beginning of the term. Oh, you didn't sign up in the beginning of the term.
No.
Sorry, you can't join us.
We get a lot of new people coming in where they're just like, oh yeah, I met these guys at Starter Hacks.
Yeah.
So they'll come in and see what we're all about.
So levels, it doesn't matter. You could be complete beginner.
Oh man.
Zero knowledge of coding, like me.
Yeah.
Or you could be high five, and you could be advanced.
Yeah.
If they were better than the teachers, then in that case they would be more a mentor then.
No, they can.
You can
still learn.
You can come be
absolutely.
geniuses. It's
Cool.
fine. Yeah.
Because people who are more advanced, what they often find, and I'm saying from personal experience, is that being able to connect with somebody who's not on the same level as you really sharpens your idea of the thing you're trying to communicate.
Yeah.
If you find yourself confident in communicating something about a programming language or a particular problem, it helps you better understand what you know and what you need to go and find out. So there's value for everybody who's involved, whatever the programming level.
Like the best way to know that you're good at something is you can teach it to somebody else.
That's right.
Yeah, that shows your expertise. So what is community to you guys in that sense? You mentioned that it's interesting because you said people can come in and work on their own, but there's a collaborative aspect to working on your own. These are like contradictory ideas. So how would your community be like then?
Okay. So that's a really good question. When I think about my impression of what Coffee and Code is and the value I would like to see it embody, it's that, first of all, it needs to be a place where people can come and ask questions and have Coffee and Code be the thing that enables them to pursue their interests. To do that, what we do as a committee is provide lessons and resources, and the resources are community driven. We have a wiki that, from our lectures, from the interest of the people coming, we create, whether it's a set of resources or we create info sheets themselves. This is all directed by community interest. So that's one aspect. To answer your question about personal projects, one of the key aspects of accomplishing personal projects is having the interest and the drive to do it. That is I feel is the biggest piece that's missing from a lot of people. And how do you generate that interest within yourself? In a large part, it comes from being able to share it with somebody. Or if you're stuck, being able to talk out a problem. So one thing I really appreciate that Chris Hatfield, one of the astronauts, Canadian astronauts who actually lectures at Waterloo, he always speaks about is working the problem. Working the problem with the team members, working the problem with your support group. And what we want to do is be that support group for that person. If they're having a personal project that they're stuck with, we want to be the person or the group of people who can go out, find the information from them, or get other connections and connect the two people so that they can achieve what they want to do.
Right.
So even if you're doing a personal project, that environment to keep you motivated is the community-oriented aspect of it.
Mm-hmm. So for community, I think something that we've all been really conscious about when we're forming the narrative of what Coffee and Code is that we wanted to make sure it was an open environment for people, across all faculties. So even if you're not aspiring to become a developer at the end of this all, we quickly realize that it's not so black and white whether you're a programmer or you're not. It's people are needing, especially in today's world.
Everybody needs to know how to
Everybody
code.
needs to know, and people are graduating either being a technical person or a business person. But what the world needs right now is somebody that can do both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make sure we cultivate a community where people can do that, and I think we did that through having a committee group with there's math students, AFM students.
Engineering, of course.
And
Science.
So across all faculties, and making sure that we let people know through marketing that it's not just a programming thing. It's like tech literacy, and if you're interested in it, no matter how high level or deep you want to go into it, this is a place for you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the type of community.
Cool. Yeah. Any cool stories that have come out? Kind of like cool projects that you guys have been working on that kind of led to success, major failure, building up kind of like inspirational stories?
Our first meeting actually is what I like to call a catastrophic success.
Fair.
I like that.
We didn't know what to expect. This was a first club initiation for, I think, myself, maybe Christina. I don't know about you, Grace. Was this the first club that you were part of?
No.
Birth?
I thought you meant our first meeting.
Birth Up.
From the Birth Up? No, I've never founded a club or anything.
Yeah.
But,
So for us, this is all our first time, so we didn't really know what to expect. So we really pushed for the marketing aspect to make sure that we let everybody know.
Yeah, we ramped up pretty aggressively.
Yeah. And we were very hard on our marketing team specifically to make sure we need to post on all these Facebook groups. We need to invite all our friends.
Yeah.
But when the day actually came for the first event, I think we aimed for maybe 50, 60 people?
That's
we
a
aimed for
large
80,
number.
80 going on Facebook.
Okay.
Because our logic was, if 80 people say they're going, we didn't even think about the interested people.
Yeah.
80 people say we're coming, then 50 people are going to come.
Mm-hmm.
But then...
Yeah, we had we said, I think it was 128 students.
Wait,
show up.
what?
Yeah.
Which is good. It was perfect.
Okay.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I was expecting a small community of 20
that's
type friends that are going to get together.
No, it was so cool. It was awesome.
We were super overwhelmed with that many people. We didn't even have enough seats for everyone.
Yeah.
But I think as the weeks gone by, we've definitely narrowed down our group. But we found that this group they come every week. They're all familiar faces. We do get some people coming in, coming out, but there's that set of maybe, let's say, 10, 15 people that we always know will be there, and they're finding value from what we're giving to them.
Yeah.
So how many regulars do you have now then?
It ranges from 25 to 35.
Yeah.
And they come in. We have a core group of people who show up. That's about 10, 15, as Grace mentioned. But aside from that, people who are interested and people who can make time, they come in and get help. It also depends on the lesson we're doing, because depending on the lesson and how it relates to the person and what they're doing, we see an up and down in that.
Mm-hmm.
So what matters then is the off week where it's just a project based, come here. And then that's when you can tell the people who are really devoted to the cause.
Mm-hmm.
An important part of these kinds of things is that people actually come.
Yes.
Say I have an audience of 50 who actually go to Waterloo and are interested in this kind of thing. For them, a big thing would be that, you actually have people who are coming in from all different walks of the coding path.
Yeah.
And you do, right?
We do.
And we
So,
find that non-students come out to our events as well.
Yeah.
It's industry people?
Yeah, so people that have graduated.
People who are in their masters, people who heard about us. We have one particular person, I'm not going to name names, but He is a super industry veteran, and he just comes in because he likes seeing what new young people.
So this is exactly the kind of community you need to build.
Yeah, they want to see what young, bright individuals are thinking about and what they're doing and how they're doing it.
It must really help them, and also like there's like a relationship, like a developmental relationship, two ways.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
He actually came the first time because he was curious.
Yeah.
The second time because he wanted to get an opinion from us about a personal project that he was doing.
Right.
And I have got to sit down with him. He comes in probably every other meeting now, but I get to sit down with him and hear about his progress. And he has nothing to do with the university. He's graduated a long time ago. He is a very successful person in the industry, but he has personal projects on his own. And he appreciates the value that we bring, and he takes from it and sees and just enjoys the evening there. He's a great person.
Now, I think this is absolutely big. Now, if you're watching and you've never done coding before, or say you're like I don't know how you like level people, give them a ranking, but say you're kind of like medium tier or looking to get into the industry, the third year, fourth year in CS, looking to get into the industry. They're not just bringing in beginners. It might come off that way when they market that, hey, this is a nice and ambient place to kind of like chill and code. You're not just getting the babies. You're getting like grown people who know what they're doing. And that's a big thing. You can actually really learn from them. Is that right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not just, how to code, code in Python. It's the industry insight. And I think that's what our end of term party, which we should mention a little bit later.
Plug that in.
But our EOT, we're going to be having a panelist there, panelist discussion there, and that's the type of thing that we want to expose people to. It's like the well-rounded tech. It's not just programming, how to say hello world. It's what to expect in tech. What you need
application
to right,
of what you learn in code.
Right, and if you're in science and you want to continue doing science, how you can do computational stuff in science. It's like it's kind of crossed everywhere and it's infiltrated everything. So we just want to make sure that everybody understands the value of it and doesn't miss out.
I guess it's time then. Go plug. What are your upcoming events?
Yeah, so our EOT is coming up March 27th in Shopify. So
Link.
Plus.
Yeah, link down below. Tickets are $3, and it includes admission to this space, which is really nice if you guys haven't seen it before, as well as pizza.
I'll show them the video.
Oh, yeah.
Which one?
Made a video.
We made a video.
Like
so watch the video.
You want me to play this like bureau?
Okay.
Is that what's
or do you want me to link it too? Like I can play it over what's happening right now.
Whatever you think is best.
I could just link it down below. I think that might be best.
Yeah.
I don't want to take away from their views. Just link it down below. Or I could show a short snippet. I'll show that now. 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and we're back. Yeah. So
welcome back, guys.
Yeah. So it's gonna be 6 to 9, March 27th, Shopify, Uptown Waterloo. And
big reel here, Shopify.
Yes.
It is one of the tech startup giants.
If you didn't know, and you must be in a rock to not know what Shopify is.
But that's okay. Come out of the rock to where you
and find out what Shopify is. Shopify is massive, and go Google it right now. You will have a bazillion links to look at what Shopify is.
Yeah.
So when we were organizing our EOT, we really wanted to have a intention behind it.
Right.
Not just to end off our term, but to carry a message. Mm-hmm. And that message for us, as we discovered it, is that Coffee and Code this term was largely about onboarding young beginners in programming into the environment, get them comfortable with the technology. What we want to do at the end of the term, synergistically, is to show you what happens when you take those that learning of technology into the industry. Mm-hmm. We're bringing in panelists who are UI designers, who are educators in tech, and how they equip their knowledge of technology, whether it's programming or how to communicate to technical people, and how they use it productively and collaboratively in an industry environment. I think it'll give our members a unique insight and to get the perspective of these veterans and how they're making good use of the knowledge that our members are going to get from Coffee and Code. So that was the inspiration behind working towards that EOT, and Shopify Plus as a venue is a great ambiance to that.
How?
We'll talk.
Grace is an extraordinary networker.
But
she's a master finesser.
Yeah, on top of the panelists, we're also going to be showcasing some projects that we've worked on, and then another club that we met with called Side Project Club. So I guess
featuring Side Project Club. Shout out to Side Project Club.
Yeah.
All these links are going to be coming your way.
Where's the plug? And they're going to be showing some stuff that they've worked on throughout the term.
And I've gotten to see one of the projects, and it's very cool. So you guys should come and check it out.
Yeah. So we really just want to bring in, our insights from what we've accumulated or what we've learned throughout the term. And also, just provide a cool space for you to network and meet a lot of like-minded people, of course, and show.
Yeah. So if the term was all about what and how, it's why now at the EOT. Why program. Yeah.
So faculty per faculty. Let's name down the faculties, because you mentioned that anybody can come.
Yeah.
Let's see why would somebody come from, say, arts?
There's a lot.
Yeah,
from arts.
So I think just going off the code literacy piece, especially from where I am.
Yeah.
I don't aspire to be a programmer. Maybe in the future, but it's not something that I feel is most important right now.
Okay.
But I think knowing the importance of code literacy, for one, knowing how to communicate, like Aurora said, is really important when working with other teams. Where Christine and I were, it was a very small company. We all kind of shared the same space. So a lot of the times I turn around to our engineer and say, hey, what are you doing? And most of the time I'd be like, well, okay, what did you say?
But you're working at was like a product manager next term.
Yeah. So that,
company.
Yeah. So on top of that too, just knowing what's happening and then being able to communicate that again, like I said, is super important. So coming from arts, let's say, you want to go into marketing, right? Marketing in a tech company.
Analytics.
Right?
Yeah. And there's all these tools, right? It really doesn't matter what you're doing. I mean, there's all these tools. So for example, I'm going to be working in supply chain. That doesn't mean I'm coding, but automating, it's all programming.
Yeah.
If you're working as a software developer, it's programming.
That's what you do.
Yeah, if you're an analyst or a tech analyst, you have to communicate between the business and the tech group, and then you need to know how to understand the lingo.
Surprisingly now, guess what? Coding is in there too. Analytics is a big part of it that's getting into coding, especially SEO automation, but we can get into that in a different time. Yeah. We can talk about that.
Next time.
Yeah. So everybody in every faculty can really get involved with this, and there's nobody who should be there's no stigma around this.
Right. It's not your thing, my thing. It's
everybody's
thing. It's a
thing.
world thing. We live in a digital era.
We'll let you know on this joke later. But no, I think we in the
all these inside jokes that you guys are gonna have to catch up on, and you'll have to meet up with these people in their event to get on these inside jokes. So.
Come meet us. We'll tell you all about our inside jokes.
There's a lot.
If you need somewhere just to work on your things, just come hang out with us.
Yeah, meet us. Have a good time. Enjoy
And
some coffee.
I will add one more thing as a non-student about why you should come to Coffee and Code, regardless of your field of study. And that is because what I have seen firsthand is there is an unfortunate tendency for university students, once they graduate, all the 4 years that they're here, university is such an insular community where you have to go from class to class, finish homework to homework, and go from midterm to midterm. When you exit university, I have seen it myself through personal experience that it is very difficult to engage with other people in a conversation, and also in relationships, whether it's professional or interpersonal. It's very difficult for a university student to go outside of, I studied this and my midterm was very hard and this professor is really terrible, right? It's very difficult to go out of that.
School, that little bubble, there's a bubble per se, right?
Yeah. To go outside of that and meet people out in the real world. So what I want to do is create an environment where people can explore their own interests through side projects, through personal projects, and figure out what inspires them, what really gets them energized. Because that is a really important part of building a relationship with somebody else, to be able to talk about yourself in an energetic and emphatic way. Otherwise, you're going to feel alienated. You're going to isolate yourself from your coworkers, your other people that you go meet in the real world. So that is one of my motivations of what I want to create Coffee and Code to be. Just make people not zombies. Yes.
That's the one takeaway from this entire talk.
You're
you
not
don't
going to be a
want to make
zombie.
people like zombies.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
That's important.
That's our new tagline.
And I think on that note, I think I'm going to cut it there. Keep it short and sweet. Thanks for watching today's episode. Thank you guys for coming on and inspiring. You led the entire thing, and literally, there's nothing else to say. You just packed my audience in an hour with a bunch of inspiration, and I have to thank you. It's right going to be an hour, and you can't even tell, right? You were just like, really, we just had an awesome conversation, and we had such a great time. I had a great time having you on here. Stay tuned for next week's episode on facebook.com/whatsuplu. Like what you see, have any comments, want me to check out a specific event, or have any suggestions, hit that like button, comment down below, and subscribe. There's always something happening in Waterloo.
Subscribe.